Good evening, everyone. My name is Umang Agarwal. So, as like you all know, I'm here to give you tips on how to do well in CAT. So, basically, first of all, I would say that don't take stress on the exam day, no matter how hard you have prepared. But if you take stress on the exam day, you won't do well. So, it's very important that you be remain calm and composed during the exam. And before that, if you talk about the strategies, so like you should try to give maximum number of mocks. Basically, try to give around 25 to 30 mocks before the exam and analyze those mocks in a detailed manner. Go through all the three sections and spend 3 or 4 hours on the analysis of every mock, because it's important to identify what you could have done better, what mistakes you made, and like what you could have done in a different way using a different approach. Apart from that, if you have any weak sections, like if you have any weak topics within a section, for example LRDI, verbal or quant, or if you are facing any difficulties in any topic in quant, for example geometry or algebra or probability, you should pay extra attention to those topics by going through multiple questions of various difficulty levels across of the topics. So for example, if you have difficulties in geometry, then you should try to solve as many questions of different difficulty levels in that topic. And for verbal, you should try to read as many passages as you can, passages from different topics, from business, from arts, from history, from philosophy, from science. So try to read as many as different passages. You can also try to read newspapers which have difficult vocabulary. That will help in verbal. And for LRDI, you can try to solve as many sets as possible, which are of different types. So like it's important to solve different types of sets rather than the number of sets. So try to solve sets from different domains. And then for quant, I would say that you should for quant you should be able to solve at least 100 or 200 questions from every topic, and more number of questions in the topics in which you face difficulty. And then if you talk about the strategy during the exam, then for so as we all know that we have 40 minutes for each section. So the strategy is that we should try to do all the questions in verbal, because verbal is the most scoring section. Only in verbal, if we score around 50 or 60 marks, that will give us around 99.9 percentile, which is a very good advantage over others. So my strategy was that I tried to do all the four passages in 32 minutes, basically 8 minutes per passage, and then the remaining eight questions of verbal ability in 8 minutes. So try to read the passage in around 3 or 4 minutes, and then 4 minutes for one question each. And then for LRDI, so like for LRD, it can be very tricky because this time there were four sets and all the sets were of a medium to high difficulty level. There was no set which was of easy difficulty level. So I would say that if you want to do good in LRDI, you should read all the sets first and try to figure out that how many sets you can do out of those four sets, and then go with the solving process. Because if you pick a difficult set first and if you're not able to do it, then you will waste time in that set. And for quant, I would say that. mm, for quant, you should try to do as many questions possible which are of easy difficulty level in the early stage of the exam. So, like example, just pick out those questions which can be done under 1 minute. That's what I did, and then do the questions which are a bit more difficult than that. Don't spend more than 2 or 3 minutes in any one question on quant. That will just waste time. So yeah, that was my strategy. So I will tell you guys, I have already have 3 years of work experience as a software developer in Capgemini Mumbai. So the reason I wanted to go for an MBA was because I wanted to switch from the technology side of things to the business side. I wanted to go in consulting because after working for 3 years as a software developer, I felt a bit bored and I thought it's very linear and there is no variety in it. So I wanted to go in consulting because consulting offers different domains and different areas of expertise. So that was one of the reasons. And also I would be able to explore the business side of things and various organizations. Yeah. So the question is, I scored 90 percentile without preparation. So I will tell you that, yeah, the thing is that all the IIMs have a very rigid criteria, and like if you are an engineer, then you won't get marks for diversity. But if you are a commerce student, you will get extra marks for diversity. So actually, commerce students have an advantage in the call getting process. For example, if you have got a 99.7 percentile and you are an engineer, you might not get a call from IM A or B. But if you are a commerce student and you have 99.7 percentile, then you will definitely get a call from IM A and B. So that is the difference. Like commerce student needs a bit lesser percentile than engineers to convert A, B, and C and all the other IIMs. That is true for new IIMs as well as baby IIMs also.
Anyone having any questions?
So the second question is how to tackle the DILR part. So as I said, like for DILR, what one should do is that you should try to practice as many sets as possible of different types, and then during the exam you should be able to figure out which is the easy set out of these four sets and do that first, and try to do the difficult set in the end. Because if you pick the difficult set in the first attempt, then you will just waste time, and if you won't be able to do it, then you won't get any marks for that. So that is the strategy. Just do the easy sets first in LRDI. So yeah, the
Sir,
next yeah
yes, sir. Sir,
yeah.
what is the daily routine for a working professional for CAT preparation?
So I think if you are a working professional and if you're not able to take time out on weekdays, then what you can do is you can dedicate around 5 or 6 hours on weekends. But if you are able to take out time on weekdays also, then you can like study for 1 hour every day and then 2 hours on weekends. Basically, you can give walks on weekends for 2 hours. Yeah.
And sir, how did you divide it that 1 hour? Means what is the strategy for that time?
1 hour strategy, 1 hour like during the daily preparation.
Yes, sir.
So what I used to do was I used to give a mock for 2 hours, and then the next day I used to analyze that mock. So I did that during entire November. So it took me 30 days. I gave 15 mocks and I analyzed those mocks. So it took 30 days and 2 to 3 hours every day. Yeah. But if you're giving CAT for the first time, then you should give more time and you should start preparing for 3 or 4 months before the CAT exam. I had given CAT last time also, so I started 1 month before that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So the next question is how you have tackled quant question. So I would say that for quant, just the strategy should be to do the easy questions first. You should be able to pick up the questions which you are confident of doing, and do not waste more than 2 or 3 minutes on any question because that will not be fruitful. So I will just say that do those questions first, which can be done under in 1 minute, and then pick up the questions which will take more time. That will ensure maximum score in quant. Then we have how did you manage your studies with job? How much time did you devote on daily basis? So yeah, as I said that I used to give 2 hours every day for 1 month, and because I had given CAT last year also, that's why I started 1 month before the exam. If you're giving CAT for the first time, then you should be start preparing for around 3 or 4 months before the CAT exam. So yeah, the next question is if I'm a commerce student and didn't have maths in 12th and graduation, then how difficult will be maths for me? So yeah, as you know, like so the thing is that earlier in CAT exam, the quant section was difficult, but the IMs realized it that the non-engineers are facing a difficulty. So what they did was they made the verbal section more difficult, and the difficulty of quant is reduced. So the quant section which comes now is much more easier than what it was in like few years back. So I don't think you will find it difficult now. And even if you're finding it difficult, you can start preparing for it for around 3 or 4 months before the exam. And right now, even like commerce students are not facing any difficulty because they have reduced the difficulty level of exam in quant. The most difficult section right now is verbal since the last 3 years. Okay, so like how much percentile target one needs to have from engineering background for MA and B? So, for example, so basically, IM A and B also focus on undergrad scores and work ex scores. So, if you have work experience, then you have a good chance at IM Bangalore, and you need to have around 99.7 or 99.8 percentile plus. And if you're targeting IMA, then it pays heavy emphasis on the undergraduation CGPA. So, if you have a good undergrad CGPA, then you can expect IMA call at around 99.6 plus. But if you have a bad undergrad CGPA like below 7 or below 8, then you should get target around 99.9 percentile plus to expect a call from IMA. That is for general male engineers. For females, they get diversity marks, so it's a bit lower. Yeah. The next question is I will start my job in March 2023 and will leave the job after scoring 98% CAT. No, like if you leave the job and you have a year gap for 1 year, then you can explain that what you were doing in that year gap. For example, many people have year gaps. What you can do is that you can tell them that you did something productive, or you learned a new thing, or you pursued your hobby, or you learned something about entrepreneurship or any other thing. So you can explain what you did in that year gap, and that should be fine. So if the 12th marks are bad due to some reason, but 10th and graduation marks are good, so like all the IIMs have different weightage to 12th marks. If your 12th marks are bad, then you should target for 99.9 percentile plus if you want to get a call from ABC or NLIK, because C doesn't pay that much attention to 12th marks, but A and B does. So like yeah, it is important to get 99.9 percentile plus for if you have low scores in 12th and you are a general engineer male. Yeah. So yeah, will a percentile north of 99.5 be safe from a for a gem fresher to get a call from IMA? So yeah, like if you have a good undergraduate score and 10th and 12th, then you can expect a call from IMA at 99.5 plus also. Because IMA looks at the overall profile, they give 65% weightage to CAT and 35% weightage to 10, 12 and undergraduate scores. So all these three things are important. So I can see like you have got 8.64 CGPA in undergrad. So I think that is really good, and it will you will get full marks for that in IMA, that call criteria selection. And also yeah, so you can expect a call, but like we can't be sure, but you can just keep your fingers crossed. Let's see. Adarsh, I didn't get your question. Like, what's the minimum marks as in like minimum marks? What like you can score in the exam or like what? I didn't get your question. Okay, no work X and 10 marks are a bit low. So how much to score minimum? So like if you have low work X and your 10th marks are a bit low, then again I will say that you should target 99.9 percentile plus if you are a general engineer male. For females and for commerce students, it's a bit lower. They can target 99.5 plus. So like if you have your 12 percentage under 60%, then you can also target XLRI, because some colleges like SPJMR, XLRI and MDI, they don't pay much attention to 12th grades. But from ABC, it will be difficult to get a call, but you can target other colleges. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So yeah, like Adarsh is asking like, is there any minimum marks you need to score or percentile? So yeah, actually, each and every IIM has a cutoff criteria for separate each section separately. So if you score 10 in verbal, then you won't be able to clear the cutoff. So actually, you need to clear the cutoffs in all the three sections, which is around 85 percentile or 80 percentile. It depends on different IIMs. So you have to make sure that you score good, like you score decent in all the three sections. If you have like 99.9 percentile in two sections and 70 percentile in one section, then you won't get a call from any IIM. So that is important, yeah. I get mentally fatigued by the third section. So yeah, so if you feel mental fatigue because like after doing it for like 80 minutes, by the time the third section comes, many people feel tired. So what you can do is you can practice doing mocks, and when you're doing mocks, don't take breaks in between. Try to give mocks in one go for 2 hours. And if you give 25 to 30 mocks, then you will develop that habit, and you won't get mental fatigue by the third section, and you will be able to like ace it easily. So yeah, I actually also gave GMAT. I gave GMAT in November last year. Yeah. So SPGen is different from the selection process of SPGen is different from IIMs. So basically, they give a heavy emphasis on profile also, and they don't have any. So they take people with less percentiles also. Like even if you have more than 90 percentile, they will take you. They might take you. And I have a lot of friends who are in SPGMR at 90 to 94 percentile. So SPGen, the criteria is totally different. So difficulty level of GD and PI is totally different for different colleges. Some interview panels are like easy on you and some are very tough on you. So you can't predict that in advance. It depends on the day of the interview. We can't predict that, yeah.